Hey everybody, Motor Poet 59 here. Talk a little bit about the California exodus, all the individuals and businesses that are leaving California as a result of its crushing tax structure, especially where businesses are concerned, and high cost of living for individuals. Now, I live in Bakersfield, which is in South Central California, at the bottom of the San Joaquin Valley. And this is actually one of the cheaper places to live in California, Bakersfield. I know a lot of people, if you're not from California, have never been through here, hear Bakersfield and remember all the shit Johnny Carson used to talk about. But Bakersfield is actually a pretty good sized town. Our population is Bakersfield and greater Bakersfield is probably about 500,000. California, it costs a lot to live here. And even Bakersfield, when you compare the cost of living in Bakersfield to the cost of living in a lot of other big cities in other states, it still costs more to live here when you factor in all the taxes. Our housing is relatively inexpensive, but when you factor in all the taxes and everything that go along with it, those numbers don't look so good. And that's why people are leaving. They're tired of it. They're tired of, we have a tyrannical government here in California. It's oppressive, especially to business, hostile to businesses. And Gavin Newsom, to hear him talk about it, it's still the land of lollipops and unicorns and rainbows, and everybody ought to just be happy to live here because it's such a great place. And California itself is a great place. It's an awesome state. I've traveled a lot around the United States, and I've never been anywhere that's as cool as California. It's got everything. Beaches, mountains, deserts, everything. Everything you can think of, big cities, little cities. It's a very, very, very cool place. It's some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen, and but it costs a lot to live here. And I hear people in Alabama or Mississippi saying, "Oh, come back! It's cheap to live here." Yeah, but it's Mississippi and it's Alabama. I've been to those places. They have very few redeeming qualities other than a low cost of living. They have big bugs and lots of humidity, and I'm not down with that. There's a reason everything's green back there, and there's a reason that it's cheap to live there. But back to the exodus. It's a real thing. People are leaving California since 2009, and then again, I'm not talking about just the things that have happened since the pandemic. Since 2009, California has lost over 13,000 small businesses that have either stopped doing business here and moved somewhere else, or have just shut their doors because it was too expensive to live. 1/3 of the small businesses in California have disappeared since 2009. That's astounding. I don't know the numbers of any other states, but I can't imagine that any place is any worse. I understand New York's a very bad place to do business, very difficult place to do business, especially in New York City. But if California doesn't want to end up, California wants to be a socialist country. That's what they wish they were. That's what the Democrats in Sacramento pray for, that California could become its own country, become socialist, and be run without any interference from the people. And if people don't start standing up, the rank and file, the voters, if they don't start standing up to this, that's exactly what's going to happen. We'll still be part of America. We won't break away from the Union, but we will kind of be our own little world, which kind of are already. California has a huge economy. But generally, as goes California, goes America. It's a bizarre effect, but it's factual. And right now, California, people are just bailing out of California. The celebrities, so many celebrities and people that aren't celebrities that are millionaires and billionaires have fled California. And what pisses me off is that most of these people, and many of them anyway, are the people that supported the people who created these problems, and now they're taking their liberal ideals to places like Texas, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, and they're starting to turn those places blue. Texas, I did a deal on, is Texas the next California? I believe it is. I know that a lot of Texans don't feel that way right now, but hey, it's already happening. All the major cities in Texas are already Democrat cities, and the rest of the state's going to follow pretty soon. And same thing in Utah, and especially Idaho. I have some friends, quite a few friends that have moved to Idaho, and I was just talking with them recently, and they said, yeah, but it's conservative where we live. I know people that say the same thing about Oregon. Well, you know what? It's conservative here in Bakersfield, too. It's conservative where I live, but California is not conservative. Pretty soon those places are going to fall to the liberals that are leaving California, because the liberals aren't leaving California for places like South Dakota and Nebraska, Kansas. They're not going to places like that. They're going to the pretty places like Idaho and Utah, and to the places where they can make money like Texas. And pretty soon that'll all turn around, and that's sad. I know a couple of people who had small businesses that failed here in Bakersfield over the years. I only know one who's had trouble with their business since the pandemic, but I know people who've lost their small businesses because they just couldn't afford to keep up with all the California crap anymore. They just built a huge Amazon facility here in Bakersfield, and they built another one in Fresno. And people say, well, what about that? It's like, Amazon is a billion-dollar company. They don't care where they build. It's not going to hurt them to have to pay a little more taxes or a little more this or a little more that. They've got that money. But small businesses aren't able to survive this kind of stuff. So it's industries, businesses, big businesses that have left. Small businesses these people are shutting their doors and moving somewhere else and opening a business in wherever they go. People are just moving. California has become a hostile environment to retirees. I am retired, but fortunately I have a really good pension and other incomes, and I will survive here if I decide to stay here. My dad is elderly, so I probably won't go anywhere until he passes. His family has a history of longevity. So, he's 81. Who knows? But this is where my life is, and this is my family's. And I don't want to move. I love California. I don't want to move. But I may end up being part of that exodus because it just won't make sense to live here anymore. California used to have one of the best school systems in America. Now it has the worst. Our public education system in California is the worst in the United States. There's nowhere else that's as bad as ours. And that's just pathetic. That's so sad. I'm glad my kids aren't in school anymore. My grandkids are, and I fear for them. It's awful. What do you think? I mean, do you want to stay in California? If you're a lifelong California resident like me, do you want to stay here? Does it upset you that you may have to move sometime, or are you going to be happy to leave? If I leave, I won't be happy to leave. I'll be very, very sad to leave. I love California, especially Bakersfield. We're right in the middle of everything. We're 2 hours from everything. 2 hours from the coast, 2 hours from the desert, 2 hours from LA, 3 hours from Sacramento, Yosemite, all that stuff, the sequoias, that stuff's just up the road. I love it here. Do you? It'll be a bummer if I have to leave. It really will. What do you think? Are you thinking about leaving California? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see y'all later.